The wretchedness of charity. In the word charity, there's a deep contradiction bordering on oxymoron. Man is just man. He cannot be philanthropic, just as a wolf cannot be a wolf friend. Neither can a hen be a hen or a dog be a dog friend. The dog, yes, can be philanthropic as the quintessential pet that has an almost self destructive attachment to our species. The hen could never be philanthropic if she has the slightest awareness of her destiny as soup or stew, and the cat, although equally attached to man and his habitats, is not philanthropic. The cat is just being selfish because she loves herself more than anything else. If the instinct of self-preservation that every being has can be called love, the cat accepts her forced coexistence with man. The cat is quintessential companion cat who is bound by a memorandum of understanding with humans, assuming that the basis of the coexistence with humans is to catch mice or to offer her body in the human need for tenderness and care and caress. Man cannot be philanthropic. He can be an animal lover or a zoophile. Let's not confuse the original meaning of the two identical words, which means love for life and which for animals. The philanthropist can only be the man who considers that he is alone, yes, and a few more friends, relatives, people of his class, his aesthetics, his ideology, has escaped from the state of the animal and treats others of his kind as animals who are in need of his charity and owe him gratitude for it. Even if one accepts the Christian concept of charity, one must start from its basics, which is self-pity. Love your neighbor as yourself, says the Bible, the evangelical commandment. But this presupposes, first, that you love yourself. Second, to perceive yourself in a state of equality with your neighbor. Third, to feel that you are in oneness with your neighbor. That is, to perceive your human nature as Hobbes perceives in his Leviathan. Nature has made men so equal in the faculties of body and mind that the difference of men is not so remarkable that one can claim for himself any benefit which another cannot equally well claim. Charity is the other side of the deduction from the natural state of equality. Before we become philanthropists, we have accepted the fact that some people are inferior to us. They have lost benefits that for us are self-evident or natural. Their home, a country, a decent income, a job. In other words, we have accepted an unnatural state of inequality to which we may have contributed, and with our greed, our tolerance, or our silence. I have charity, even if I rarely resist the temptation to buy a pack of tissues at the traffic lights, to endure cleaning the car's windshields, or to give the some person just a dollar with which you can supposed to buy something to eat, and not scramble for the next installment. I redeem my regrets that I am still in when so many others are out, as Christians with their obelisk dare to erase one of their sins and gain a measure in the marathon to heaven. It's a form of psychotherapy, not at all innocent and selfish, I must admit, says the writer. But the organized charity industry in which abusers and victims are brought together is abhorrent to me. It's a colossal scam. You turn on the radio, the television, newspaper you see are in front of a parade of executioners treating their victims just before they're done away with, or even after that. Another collects clothes, another money, another medicine, another food, after first stripping, shaving, and starving the recipient of his solidarity. All together we can, no one alone in the crisis. Why didn't they proactively show their solidarity before the crisis washed its victims to the sidelines? And what did they say and what did they do when wages were cut, when pensions fell to the brink of starvation, when welfare benefits were cut, and indeed with the anathema shameful favoring of national security, social security, and the funds were looted, when crippled the welfare state, and when the memory recession flooded the economy, ruins with lockouts and unemployments. To what measure of social destruction do the champions of charity still say no to today? The exact opposite happened and is happening. The most fanatical philanthropists are the holders of the Memorial Championship, and this could also be popularly expressed as follows. Or first they shed us and then they sweep us. Does that sound gross to you? Well, it isn't. More vulgar to demand the redistribution of the victim's misery because redistribution of the victim's wealth is inconceivable to them. It's not more vulgar to demand that it be built on the ruins of welfare state, which they themselves demolished a voluntary substitute for. Isn't it more vulgar than the golden finger of the entangled and the looting of the social wealth, complete in marathons of solidarity? Society does not need animators of humanitarianism or celebrities of wealth and glamour to awaken its humanitarian reflexes. It needs mechanisms to eliminate poverty, inequality, and marginalization. Is anyone discussing this? No. This is not being discussed. But when it is considered unthinkable for the bondholder, usually a member of the rich 1% of the world's population, who is responsible for the impoverishment of the poorest 30% to remain unpaid, and it is self-evident that the pensioners' 600 euros should be cut, and the result is that they will increase dangerously the beggars and recipients of charity, and it's rather unlikely that their dangerousness and silence will be bought with the crumbs of begging. But the charity industry prefers just that, to make people, even the poorest and most miserable, complicit in their own poverty and misery, convince them that their fellow sufferers are victims of a natural inequality, just as insurmountable as the omens or natural disasters, and thus they do not love their neighbor as themselves. They simply pick him up and move him to a safe distance. They see him as a threat that needs to be appeased, and in essence they hate him because he exists, and even though the impoverishment of others is a condition of their own real or imagined happiness, making charity an authentic misanthropy. There is an extreme but authentic version of misanthropic philanthropy. For example, George Soros, one of the richest, most ruthless spectators in the world, directly responsible for widespread humanitarian disasters caused by his play with currencies and stocks or commodities, is also the owner of the largest philanthropy networks in the world. If every year he prepares some kind of balance sheet of his mutual canceling actions with the ambition to balance the magnitudes of destruction and salvation, I suppose he himself will be horrified by the monstrous deficit in the balance of his piety. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support, and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.